In my last video, I built this antique-inspired bookcase with intricate trim that really complemented our historic home. Currently, our bathroom is lacking that same charm with very dull walls and no historic influence. So for part one of this renovation, I will transform these walls by adding beadboard paneling and period-style trim, similar to the bookcase I built. I started to scroll Pinterest to get some ideas for the bathroom, and I came across this picture that I thought would be really neat for my bathroom with the beadboard and the trim. Love it. So anyway, I went to Lowe's to pick up my supplies. I knew what I wanted, but it's kind of that situation where you kind of got to look around to find exactly what you need. And I asked Keith to go with me once he got home from work. So he went with me and was so kind to get the beadboard on the cart, things like that, and we kind of worked out together exactly what I needed for trim and how we were going to make it work. So I showed him my vision picture and he kind of helped me find the things that I needed. So thankfully he was able to help me out with that. Okay, so thankfully we were able to quickly cut these boards down. I talked Keith into taking the saw outside onto the porch and quickly just cut these boards down so I would be ready to install them in the bathroom. But now that I have all of those boards cut, I need to prep the walls and the trim and things like that around the baseboard. So I'm gonna try to get this glass tile down and then kind of rough up the baseboard because I want to paint that. So it's kind of like color washing the trim and the beadboard and all of that. So I'm gonna get started and hopefully this glass tile comes off easy. Having trouble getting that tile off the wall. It's glass tile. Every time that I bang on it, the drywall starts to wiggle and I'm getting really nervous that if I continue, there will be a hole in the wall that I now have to fix, and I don't want to do that. So, okay, so what are my options here? Can I put beadboard on top of glass? Like, is that an option? I have this beadboard wedged in here and I'm wondering, somehow could I attach this so I don't have to rip it off the wall? And then on top, you know, you'll see the glass. So I have this screen stop that I have from my antique cabinet that I built in previous projects. So I was thinking about covering up, you know, the little edge here with this screen stop and then putting trim on the front. I'm thinking that could work. But anyway, here's my problem. I have my adhesive here to put up the beadboard, and it says it is good for wood, drywall, plaster, ceramic, concrete, masonry, brick, foam board, cork, and aluminum. It does not say glass. I'm gonna put a pin in that project to take down the tile, only because I think I can make it work by furring out this wall a little bit to get that panel to work on top of the glass tile. The only problem is I have a really big board that I need help cutting. So I'm gonna wait till Keith gets home from work, and that way I can have an extra set of hands to cut that board to fur out this wall so I don't have to worry about this tile. I was looking at it from the other side because on the other side of this wall is not finished, and it appears to be screwed to the studs, but it is still moving a tremendous amount. And I'm just really afraid that it's gonna damage the wall or make a big hole. But in the meantime, I'm gonna move over to the baseboard and I'm just gonna fill in like any nail holes or cracks or things like that and sand down the wood to get it ready for paint. next day, and I had told Keith about my idea of furring out that wall to cover the glass tile, just to prevent any holes in the wall from getting it down off the wall. So while I was gone taking the girls to practice last night, he decided to take off that glass tile off the wall, and of course left this huge hole in the wall. But he was able to patch it with some drywall, and I think it'll be fine. His concern was there's not a whole lot of space between the plumbing and the wall, so if we were to fur out that wall, there would be no room for the vanity to sit kind of over the plumbing. And I totally agree with him now that would probably be the case. It would be quite a struggle. So now I just need to put the beadboard up, and I'm pretty confident it's going to cover all of the holes and it'll be just fine. Okay, so now that I have all the beadboard up, in my inspiration photo, there's this like smooth edge that goes above the beadboard. And so I've decided to cut down my leftover beadboard and just flip it around and attach it to the wall. So I'm hoping that I can patch this up okay and paint will take to it all right. But that's my plan, to hopefully conserve all the extra scrap pieces I have. Okay, so I ran out of beadboard to put up around the perimeter of the bathroom, so I have this little piece. I'm going to piece it together, so I'll have a little bit of a seam on like right behind the door, but I think it'll be okay. I mean, out of everywhere in the bathroom, I think this is probably the best place to put a seam. Okay, the good news is I was able to get this to fit real nice and snug and just had to trim it up a little bit. It fits great. Bad news is when I originally cut this piece, I cut it too short. So now I'm out of this Cove trim. So yeah, I still have to do over here by the light switch, and I still have to do behind the door. So I thought I had an extra piece that I could use. I could have sworn I had like a 4-foot piece or something, so that's why I was thinking I would use that piece behind the door, but apparently not. I just searched my stash and I don't have it. So I'm gonna go to Lowe's and get another 8-foot piece. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the trim in the corners. I got those cut already. I just need to glue them on and maybe put a few brad nails through them, so then that will be done. And pretty soon all I'll have to do is sand the trim, like all the nail holes that I'm covering up, and then we can paint. Okay, so glad I'm not going crazy. I actually did have an extra piece of Cove, actually kind of long piece. So this will work great behind the door, but since I did mess up with that one piece, I think I'm gonna try to patch it, but it's right underneath the light switch where I think it'll be kind of noticeable, but I'm gonna try really hard to seam it, make it look good. If nothing else, I'll just run to the store, buy one more piece of trim, but I was hoping to get this done and glued so we can wrap this up. Okay, so I know this is probably one of the more visible places to have a seam, but I think it's gonna work. I actually got my longest piece and put it right here, so my seam will be down here, and I really don't think it's gonna be that horrible. I don't know, let's give this a try. I think it'll work. Okay, time to paint, and I actually taped down the floor where the baseboard meets the floor because I do plan on color washing a little bit, meaning I'm going to paint the walls and the trim the same color. And I am really good with a trim brush, but next to the floor, I'm not so sure. I'm really nervous, so I went ahead and put some tape down. Okay, so the color that I chose for all of this paneling is the Moroccan Spice. And the reason I picked it is because I felt like it had kind of that historic feel of a bold, neutral, kind of a neutral color. I didn't want it to be like too in your face. And it has a little bit, it's a neutral color, but it has a little bit of a pink tone to it, which I really, really like because I felt that that would really complement the brick and things like that. But now that I'm in here, I'm like, good gracious, it really looks brown, like just brown. So, yeah. for watching part 1 in renovating our bathroom. I am loving how this paneling and trim turned out, so stay tuned for next week. I'll be working on refinishing the vanity to help make it look more period to our home. I'll see you soon for part 2.